So, so what was my questions? Why we have different environments, right? So yeah, we have a different environment, not for testing only, right? For software development. So we have dev environment, which is specifically for developer, right? So whatever developer are doing their activity like unit testing or something like that, right? They always do on their development environment, right? Any update or any quick fix, hot fix they apply to initial test, right? They always work on a development environment. Then once they find everything is good on development environment, right? So the next checker will come, the QA, the software tester, right? So what they will do, whatever they have developed, they will copy and deploy. See, this is called deployment. They deploy on a QA environment, right? So now what software tester will do? They will go and test the applications, right? Based on the user stories, based on the test case they have created, based on the end-to-end scenario, right? Now, when the tester thinks, okay, everything is seems to be fine, right? When they generate their test report, right? Like, okay, out of 100, I can see 85% of test cases are passed. Everything seems to be fine, right? So tester will send an email to all the teams member, right? BA, project manager, product manager, like the developer lead and everybody, right? Okay, this build or this deployment looks fine to us and we are happy to deploy on pre-prod and staging, right? So now it will go to pre-prod or staging. So what will happen over there? There, like the project manager or a senior BA or a senior QA will conduct the UAT with the client, right? The user acceptance testing. The name itself says user acceptance testing. That means, right, if user means the client will accept this build, they will then and then it will go to the production. Understood? Yeah. So now what we'll have in a UAT, they have a checklist, right? Let's suppose if they are implementing 20 new functionality, right? They have a checklist. They will demo to the client. Okay, this is how, this is what your requirement was. This is how we have implemented in software. If client have any feedback or any suggestions, they will note down the suggestion in a checklist, right? And at the end of the day, they will confirm with client, okay, if it is fine to deploy on production or not. You got my point? Yeah, if client says yes, we are happy to deploy on production, so our end user can use it, right? So our end user can use it, right? So this is something I will just say, like the Mark Zuckerberg, right, giving the good to go on Facebook production. So the end user like us, we can use the application. Okay, so this is how we go to deployment environment by environment, and different activity will be performed, and that is the reason we have a different environment. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, because when you work on actual project, right, you will see this type kind of I will just say is the pattern. When you work, right, the developer says, okay, we have deployed on QA, can you test it? So you know which URL you need to work, right? Now again, how you will identify this is development, this is QA, this is production, and blah blah blah, right? So let's suppose this is how the things work, right? So suppose if you're working on any application which is called ABCD, right? ABCD application. So they have www.dev.abcd.com. This is for development environment. This is how you can identify the application is on a different environment, right? The naming pattern they can keep any like it is depends on company to company, right? Company to company, like they can keep QA or they can just keep a QA environment or something like that. But this is how the URL will get changed. You got my point? Then they will just say is preprod.abcd.com or staging.com, right? Then the last, the final abcd.com come. This will become production. Does that make sense? Hello, Snehal.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Are you following, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is how you can identify the different environment, right? So somebody says, okay, can you give me the QA link, right? So you know this is the QA link, this is the dev link, right? When you work on a web-based application. For production-based application, there are totally different setup, which will be covered later. Okay, but this is so far for understanding. This is how the different environment will be count. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so what is the API? The next question: what is the API? Hello, Snehal.
Yes, yes, I'm listening. Application programming interface.
Okay. What is the use of API?
Actually, it works as a mediator between
Mhm.
the server and the client.
Okay.
Whatever request or orders are given through the client are taken to the server.
Okay.
And whatever the response server gives, it's given back to API to the clients.
Okay. And what are the different? I would just say is the API calls we have.
SOAP call and REST call, and majority times
See,
REST call
see,
is
see. I'm not asking for a type of API. I'm just saying what are the major method calls. That is for
yeah, yeah,
method, right?
uh,
Type is REST and SOAP, but what are the
uh,
different calls?
uh, post call,
Hmm. So what
put
post?
call,
Yeah, what post will do?
whatever the mm, data is created or whatever we posted, it stores in it.
What is put will do?
Uh, put will update the information
Okay.
if any changes has done. Um, then it will update all the changes if we have to change the surname or we have to update any information, it will be updated in the put.
Okay.
And then gate call,
Mhm.
where the data is retrieved.
Mhm. Then
And then the last is delete, where we can delete our information or our account.
okay. So see, try to become more informative, right? When you speak about some topic, try to become more informative. Always listen the questions very carefully, okay? Because see,
Mhm.
if you do not listen the questions and start answering the other things, right? Then it will create a big bad impression. Why big bad impression? See, questions and if you give the wrong answer, that is fine, but even though you are not understand the question, that is totally like I will just say not good for the interview, right? So at least understand the questions. Okay, what was the questions he had asked? Okay. Now in a API we have four type of main calls, right? There we have other calls, patch call and other calls as well, but these are the main calls. Why I will just say these are the main calls? Because they always help us to do the end-to-end testing. So what is end-to-end? Create, update, receive and delete. Okay. So if you compare the API with SQL, right? So what is happening when you just put the post method, right? It will create the object, right? When you create a post method, it will create the object and that will insert the data to the database, right? The database table. Now, whatever the data you have in a table, right, you want to update, right? So in SQL, you can use update query, but in an API, you can use put method. So put method will help you to modify your data, right? Then after, let's suppose you want to see the data, right? You want to retrieve the data and you want to see what is the exact data we have in a database, or we want to display somewhere, right? Let's suppose in a dashboard we need to display. So what we can do, we retrieve the data. To retrieve the data, we use the get method, right? And in SQL, we use select query, right? Select star or select first name, last name from table. where ID is equal to blah blah blah, something like that. And at the last, right, what we will have, if you want to destroy the object, we want to destroy the data, right, we will use delete method, right? And for that we have in SQL delete operation. So these are the very much important calls. We can also call calls, API calls, API methods, right? Post, put, get, and delete, right? Then we have for API, the one of the important things we have, it's URI, Uniform Resource Identifier, right? So what is a URI? It's a combination of URL and an API endpoint, right? So what is the URL that we can see on a browser? So that is the URL, and an endpoint we have that is called the actual endpoint, which help us to perform the different operations, right? Like create account is the endpoint, update account is the endpoint, get account is the endpoint, and delete account is the endpoint. So these are the different endpoints we have. Okay, so this is the basic of API. Now to do the API testing, right, we can do the API testing in a different way. So we can use the Postman tool, which is very popular API testing tool. Then we can also do the rest assured, right, which is the Selenium, which is almost similar to Selenium, which required little bit of programming. Then we can also do the API testing with the JMeter, right? JMeter is one of the tools which mainly used for the performance testing, but you can also do the API testing using the JMeter. Right? So today, what we're gonna do, I will show you these calls, right? These calls practically how it's look like, okay, in a Postman. So
Okay.
I have installed the Postman, right? So this is my
Hmm.
Postman installed, and once you install the Postman, it's always good to log in with your Gmail or something like that, right? So your data will always remain saved, right? So if you log in to any other machine, right, in a Postman with your Gmail account, you can see your data. So that is always good to log in with the data. Okay. Now let
Hmm.
me just show you some few things. Okay. So I have just found out one of the dummy sample key, but let me tell you what API I am using. Okay, so in the last session we have seen this one. So this is our API, right? So this is our URL, right? This is our
Hmm.
URL, right? And if you scroll down, I will give you this URL to do the practice. Okay. So if you scroll down,
Okay.
you can see different APIs, right? The get call, you see the post call, you see the put call, right? Then you can see the
Hmm.
delete call, right? So today we try to like similar, see, similar to this one, post, put method and all those things, we will try in a Postman. So first of all, we will take a get call, right? So this is the get
Hmm.
call. If I click on this get, it says list of users, right? So it will get a list of users. So if I click on get, right? If I click on get and if I click on this URL, it will give me the list of users, right? So what I have, so if I copy this one, right? If I copy this URL, if I paste it over here, right? So see, this is how, or just hold on, let me paste it on the, okay. So this is how we have, right? So this is our URL, okay. Now, what we will have, so if you see over here, right? What you have, this is the only your URL, right? And rest of the part, this is the part which is the endpoint, okay. If you
Hmm.
understand what is on this screenshot, the URL and endpoint. So I can go and I want to keep URL separately and this endpoint separate. You got my point?
Okay.
So I will just use for your purpose, like you will understand this one easily. URL endpoint. You can call endpoint, people can also call API endpoint. This is something like that you can call, right? Based on your choice. But mostly you can call endpoint and this is URL. Now, what is URI? URI, unique resource identifier.
Hmm.
Can you tell me what is that?
Uh, Means URI plus API, URL plus API endpoint is equal to
Exactly.
URI.
So I can just say concat this and this, right? So this, the combination of these two will become my URI. Making sense, right? And we
Yes.
need this one to do the API testing. Okay, but what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to simply write on that this way. Now we need this one to do the API testing. Now what type of call this is, right? What type of call this is? What type of method? Can you tell me what type of method this is? I think this is the get method, right? Snehal?
Ha.
Yeah. Are you concentrating, right?
Yes, yes.
See, I need an answer, right? When I ask you, I need an answer, right? So this is the get call. Okay. This is the
Hmm.
get call. So you can just say get call, or you can just say call or method. I'm just writing down over here. So both the terms will remain the same. Call and method. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the call. Sorry, this is the get method. Now we will have a get method, and this is our URL, right? Now what could be the request? Request. So for a get call, we have a request as is this one, right? This is our
Hmm.
request, right? And what would be the response, right? So response we can see. You see over here, it's just showing us the response. So this is,
Hmm.
if you remember, I asked you to remember response code, right? So it says
Yes, yes.
response code 200, and this is the response we will get. Okay.
Okay. Hmm.
So I will just copy this content. Okay. And I will just
Hmm.
says response over here. Okay. Just what I am doing, just to understanding purpose, I can remove certain element. Okay. So this is the response we are getting. Okay. So this is the response we are getting, right? What is page number, this one, and all those things. And what should be the response code? I'm just writing the response code separately, okay? Because the code understanding is really important. So this is our response code should be 200. So this is our API test case. Understand? This
Hmm.
is our API test case, right? So what we are expecting, so if we use this get method with this one, this is, see, let me just put like this way, right? Because these two will always remain common, right? But this is get call, and this is our URI, right?
You
This
are
will
right.
also,
Right.
yeah, this is also will remain common. So let's take like this way, right? Then get method, what would be the request? If you remember, right? In API we always have request and response. This is the combination we always have, right? In
Hmm.
each API. So this is the request, and this should be the
Right.
response, and this should be the response code. Now let's we try this one, okay? In a Postman. So once you install the Postman, right? So I have created this one file before, but let me just show you a basic about this Postman. Okay. So let me
Hmm.
close this. Okay. So this is how the Postman will look like, right? As a basic level. Okay. So you should do one thing. You should always go to workspace and create the workspace, right? So what is a workspace? So let me click on create a workspace. So this workspace will ask you if you have multiple project, right? So it is always good to create a separate workplace for the different project, right? Project ABCD, project PQR, something like that. Now if you want,
Okay.
now, yeah, nowadays like Postman allow you to interact with your team member as well, right? So you can invite them by their email address or something like that. Okay. So
Okay.
when you do the practical, create your own workspace, give the name, and do the
Hmm.
like the start, right? And once you will click on a create a workspace, right? This is how it will come to your space. Like this is, you see, you will only have my workspace, but this is what I have created, right? So once you will create a workspace, go to their workspace, select the workspace. You can see which workspace you have selected, right? Now the another thing is that collections, right? So what is a collections? The collection is nothing. It's a collection of different API calls. Okay, the
Different
collection
API?
API calls, API methods,
Acha.
right? So
Mhm.
let's suppose if you want to do the collection for a ABCD module or for registration module, right? So in a
Hmm.
registration module, you will have 10 or 15 APIs to call and see the data. So you create a collection of that API. Okay.
Hmm.
Now to create a collection, what you can do, just click on new, right? As soon as you will click on new, you will see the different. Do you want to create a HTTP request or collections, WebSocket request, environment, right? If you want to use the environment, like the environment QA environment, staging environment, something like that. Okay, so this is
Hmm.
will help us to create a collection. So if you can click the collection, right? You see the another collection will get come over here, new collection. So I will just give the collection name for I will just go and just say rename, right? I will just say Snehal 10. Okay, this is our collections. So you understood, right?
Okay.
How to create a collection.
Hmm.
Now, what is the end-to-end testing says? So first of all, I need to do these things, right? I need to get a list of user, right? So what I will do, I need to create a one API call over here. So what I can do, I can go over here, right? And I can just click on add a request. So as soon as I will click on add a request, it just says new request now. You see? So I can give a
Hmm.
name, get all users. My request name. Okay. This is my
Okay.
request name. And you see over here the drop down says get, post, put, patch, delete, copy, hit, options, link. So these are all the what we can call them API methods or API calls. Okay. So
Okay.
these are the all API calls. Now if I click on get, why I am selecting get? Because I know this is my get call, right? Why? Because if you see over here, this is clearly mentioned, this is the get call, right? So this is my get call, and that's the reason I am selecting this get method over here. Then it just says enter a request URL, right? So what could be the request URL over here? This is the request URL, right? So let me copy and let me paste it over here, right? Are
Hmm.
you following, right?
Yes.
Okay. And always see anything coming after the questions mark, right? As we like, this is the basic of, I will just say, is the computer, right? Of the URL. Anything coming after the
Hmm.
questions mark is always have a, I will just say, is the value and a key and value, right? So this is the,
Okay.
I will just say is the attribute we are passing to the URL. Okay. So if you
Hmm.
see, it's a parameter also set up over here automatically. Why? Because it is coming after question mark. If you see, if I just say comma test, you see the value get added over here, right? So
Okay.
this is
Hmm.
coming after the question marks. That's the reason it is called separately over here. So now it is set up, right? Get call, everything is set up. Okay. Now what we can do, first of all, let me just show you how to run this one. So if I click on send, so let me click on send.
Hmm.
Yeah, you see, as soon as I will click on send, I got this response over here. You see, response body.
Okay.
You see, ID for Michaels and all those things.
Hmm.
Whatever we are, if you I click on this one, whatever I can see over here, I can see
Huh.
in a Postman, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, and also you see the status code 200, right? If I mouse over here, it will give me more information. What is 200 means? So it just says 200. That means everything is okay.
Okay.
Time taken by this API call. This can be the useful for a validation purpose or for a performance testing, right? So it just says
Okay.
246 millisecond. Okay, and it will
Hmm.
also give you the breakdown, right? How it has started, right? So socket initiate in a 34.59 millisecond, DNS lookup in 85, and all those things. You need to no need to remember these events, right? This is called the time events for the API. No need to remember this event, but this is how you can just see the bifurcation. Okay, how actually it's
Okay.
work. Then size of response, right? So whatever the response we can see over here. So what is the
Hmm.
size of that response? It says 1.83 KB. Okay, so
Hmm.
body part contain 1.01 and header contain around 842 bytes. So
42
this,
bytes.
now suppose if you want to save this response, right? You can click on
Hmm.
save and save to file or save as an example. So this is how you can save, right? Why you are saving?
Okay.
Because you want to just make sure when you save this one, in future if you want to use, you can use this response. Okay. So I will just say
Acha.
get all user for a response. Okay. This is my response for this one. So I'm just gonna save it. Okay. Now let me close this one. Okay, so this is my API. So everything seems to be working fine, right? I am
Hmm.
getting what I am expecting. So I will, what I will do, I will save this one. So I will click on save request and this will save my request. So now I have one collections which has one API call, get call, and I can see the information over here, right? Now let's we go to the another call. Okay, so this first call you understand, right? What is the basic things you need to do?
हाँ ये काफी हद तक समझा है
Okay, perfect. No worries. When you do the practical, you will understand in more detail. Okay.
hmm.
Now, what could be the next call? Let's we go. Let's take another get call. Okay. So
Hmm.
no, let's keep this get call for your assignment. Okay. So you need to do it in a Postman. And you need to give me that response and all the screenshot. Okay. The way you do the documentation. Now let's we
Okay.
do the post call. Right. Let's we do the post call. So if I click on post call, right, you see it says
Hmm.
request and response, right? So first of
Hmm.
all, for a post call, what I need, I will just take the this URI. Okay.
Hmm.
So I will do the documentation over here, right? This is my post call, right? This could be the my endpoint. Sorry, this could be the my endpoint. Okay.
Hmm.
Just write it down over here. I will give you this file for your reference. No worry. So this is my post call. Now what is the this, right? So this is says request, right? But okay, if it is a post call, right? Request URI reached body or parameter. This is
Hello.
yeah. Now what is happening? We need to add a response request body, right? Because it is a post call, right? In a post call,
Hmm.
we need to pass the data, right? So if I click on this post call, you see it just says you need to enter name and job. Okay, so this is my request body. So I will just click on this one request. Okay, and what could be the response? So this could be my response. So in a response, it will create an ID and it will give me the created date. Okay,
Okay.
so this is what I can do it over here. Okay, and what could be the response code? It just says 201. 201 means object created successfully.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the two code
Hmm.
we learned, right? But there are many more we need to learn. Now let's we do in a Postman. Okay, so what I can do, I can go in a collection. I can just say add a request, new request, right? And this time, what is the request is post call, right?
Hmm.
So what I need to select from this drop down post method. I can enter this URL, right? This is my URL, and I select the post method over here. Now this is the post method, right? So what I need to do, I need to pass the body. Okay, I need to pass the body over here. So what I can just do, just one post. Now if I go over here, I need to pass this value. You see this
Hmm.
request body we need to pass. Okay, so where we can pass this request body. So let me just show you. So you can just go to the body, right? And you can just select row, right? You just keep the text or just keep the JSON and pass it over here. Okay. So you are passing the body, the request body. Okay. Just selecting row and JSON over here. Okay, so you are giving the name, so I'm just giving my name Ankit, and I'm just giving QA tester. Okay, this is my name and body I am giving, and this is my URI based on this one. And now what I will do, I will click on send. So as soon as I will click on send, what is the response it is giving? Name, job, ID, and created. So today's date and time. What is the ID? 806. So let me verify if this is what I expected as a response. Yes. So see, ID could be the different, but what we are expecting over here, we are expecting four things. Name is there, job is there, ID is there, and created date is there. All the parameters are
Okay.
coming, right? So
Hmm.
what we can see over here, and also you see the response code 201, it just says
Hmm.
created, then time taken bit long. Why? Because it's a post request, it will take a time, right? And this is
Hmm.
the size. So this is the response. Now you see, you can see the two body, one body over here, this is the request body, and this is the response body, right? And this is how the post call work. Okay, like you can just
Okay.
select the post method, pass over here. If we need to pass the body, just put the body like this way, select the row or JSON, then click on send button. And if I want to save it, I can just say save, right? And I can just, okay, let me just rename this one. So I will just say create, okay, post call create user. Okay,
Okay.
so this is my post call called create user. So today we got a two call, right? If I see this collection, Snail
Hmm.
collection will have two call, one get call
Hmm.
and one post call. Okay, does it make
Right.
sense?
Hmm.
Okay, perfect. So let's we keep these things. Now what we need to do, the next one will be delete, and I will just say update. Okay, but we will do it in a while. Let me reconnect to you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So far what we have seen a get call and post call, right? Now let's
Hmm.
we do one thing. Let me see the put call, right? Put means modifications, right? How we can
Hmm.
modify the data, how we can update the data. You see the put call.
Right.
So now again for a put call we have this request and response and all those things, right? So what I will do, I will go to my API test cases, and what I will do, I will just have another line where I can just copy. What I can do, I can first copy my URL. Yes, this is my URL. This
Hmm.
is my endpoint. So this could be my endpoint. But I click on this one, then I will get my endpoint. Okay. So I will get my endpoint. Always make sure you see this slice will create confusion sometimes. If you keep on the URL, do not keep on this one, but always to practice to remove from URL and keep it on endpoint. This forward slash. Okay. Then my API will be, my URI become this one. So I will select this one. Okay, and this is my put call, right? Put call is used to update the data, right? I will again put this one and put call, right? Now to update the
Hmm.
data, what we require, we need to pass some data, right? So again, we need to use the request body. So if I go over here, you see put call, right? So it just says request body. So I can go and use this request body, right? And what could be my response? My response would be this response body, right? And this could be my response body 200. Okay. So this is what we have, right? The things that you can see over here. Right? This is called API documentation, right? When you do the API documentation, you keep these things. What kind of call it is, what is a URI, what could be the request, and what could be the response. This is called API document. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So when developer will give us to test the API, right? They will give us in such a format. So we know what is the call, what is the method, what is a call, what is a URI, what is a request body, what should be the response. This is for a validation purpose. Okay, how we can
Okay.
verify if this is went successfully or not? We can see the response. If this is this matching with the response, that means the API call is correct. Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Now let me just go on this one. So I will go to my Postman, right? What I will do, click on this one, click on add request. Okay, now what is this call? Put call. Just says update user, right? Now what I
Hmm.
need to select from this drop down? Put. You see the third option, put.
Put.
If I select put, what will happen? I need to pass the URL, right? So I will take the data from over here. So I will pass this URL. Okay, pass this URL over here. Now what I need to pass? Response body. Okay. So I will just pass the response body. So what could be my response body? This could be my response body. Okay. This is the dummy. So we can give anything. This is the dummy. So I'm just going Ankit as a QA trainer. Instead of tester, I will just give QA trainer. Okay. But this is the
Hmm.
dummy body we are passing. All this set the method, pass the URL, and set up the request body, and just click on send. So as soon as you will click on send, what it is giving you, name, job, and updated date, right? So this is what we are getting, okay, as a part of the response. But if you go over here, right, this says response could be different. You see over here, the response
Hmm.
is little bit different, right? Why the difference? Right? If I go to this document, right, this says, if I just put, no, sorry, I was on a different screen. So if I click on put, right, the response is this one, right? So response is matching, right? See, name, job, and updated it. Name, job, and updated it. So response is matching. So let me update it. Okay, and response code will be 200. So over here you see 200. Okay, so this, that means
Hmm.
this is what we are seeing. It is working as expected, right? But now see how you can validate this information, right? How you can validate inbuilt in a Postman. So I will show you the simple validation, but in the next session, we will see some bit advanced validation. Okay. So you see in each and every request, right? You will see this column, test column. You see test column. If you go to the test column, right, and it just says get a response code, or there is an inbuilt method over here. Okay. So I will just
Hmm.
go down and I will just say response status is 200. You see, if I click on this URL, this snippet, the code will automatically come. So it just says if the status response code is 200, that means this test result should show pass. Okay, let's try this one. So go to this tab, select the status code is equal to 200, and I'm gonna save this one. Okay, so it will save my changes. So if as of now you see it is just we are just validating based on the response, right? This response is coming as expected or not. But now we will see the some test result over here. As of now it is blank. So what I will do, I will click on send again, and it just says test result 101, right? If I click on this one, it just says pass. Why? The status response is 200 because over here the response is 200 is coming. Now if I go over here and I just says I am expecting 201, something like that. Okay, and I will save it. So what will happen? This will get failed. If I click on send now, it just says status code is 200, assertion error, expected 200 but got 201. You
Okay.
got my point?
Hmm.
So this is how you can also put inbuilt validation in Postman. So these are the basics ones, right? These are the basics ones you can use the snippet. Snippet means bunch of code. Okay, so snippet is already given over here. How you can do the status content hash string, right? So you see, this is another one that says status contain hash string, right? So if status contain, right, so this is the body, so this is the body. So if this is content, I will just say if this is content this one, right, if update call, if this is content updated this text, that means it is pass. You got my point?
Hmm.
Yeah. If my response contain this text updated, that means this test case is passed. So again, let me save it, right? And I will click on send. So again, it just says 2 of 2 is failed, right? Okay. It just response line. Okay, sorry. It was asking about this response 200 and okay, right? So if I go again over here and I can just say, I think this could be the response body, but let me just put it okay over here and make it 200 again. You see why these two are failing? Because we just put the updated as and a response body, but this is not for response body. This is for response code status. And for 200, it will be always okay, right? Everything is okay. So that's the reason it is failing. Now let me save this one and click on this one again. You see both are passed, right? Status code is 200 and status code name string also matching because it is okay over here. So let me copy this code snippet and put in other other API call as well. Let me save this one. So this one would be says 201, right? So I need to change it over here 201. And what could be the response code name string created? So I cannot keep it okay. I can just say created, then and then it will pass, right? I can go to get all, again I will go to test and I will just keep it over here and save it. So this all my have a, I will just say the test as well, right? So this is called Postman will also have a test. Okay, so if I go to this post call, right, if I click on send, it will just create a new user, right? And it will also just say status code is valid. You got my point? So both the status string and status code is valid. So this is how from this test tab you can put your validation script over here, right? So this is useful. You can use this snippet, right? There are many snippet. I think these are the more than enough snippet you will have. So you see if you want to, yeah, I was just telling about this body, right? This text. So you can use this one. You see, response body content string. So if I click over here and just says response body content string, right? And I will just say string to search. Okay. I will just put created. If I just says created will be there. Let's see what is happening. Okay. If I just
Hmm.
says created over here means in a response body, if I get these tracks, then pass this validation as well. Okay. I will click on send again. I save it. Yeah, it is passing because body matches, right? So in a body, in a response body, also it is matching. So 3 test case is passed for this call, right? You can also modify these messages, right? You can also modify these messages as per your requirement. So I will just say status code validation expected 200. Okay, this is my first
Hmm.
validation. Okay. Another validation is status code string validation. Okay,
Hmm.
string validation expected created expected.
What is the string means?
Let me tell you. String means this string means I will just say you see the line over here created 200 201 is a response code. You got it right.
Hmm. Huh.
Code means digital value, but this string you
Huh.
see created the word created,
Huh.
that is a string which is coming in the
Okay.
response code. That is it is called response string. Okay.
अच्छा तो अगर 200 ओके लिखा है तो ओके स्ट्रिंग है.
हाँ और 200 response code है.
हाँ.
Now the third one would be status. Okay, a response body validation. Response body validation, right? Expected word. What was the word? Expected word. This one. So this is what we expected. Okay, we can just say expected string. Okay, so this is how we can also modify this value as well. I am going to save this one, and now You see over here, it's only this one written, but if I click on send now, it will be the more informative. You see, it is more
Okay.
informative, right? So now I can
Hmm.
see what is coming, right? If I want to save this response, I can save
Hmm.
the response, right?
और यहाँ पे दो टाइप्स क्यों दिखाते हैं सेव करने के लिए, सेव एज एग्जाम्पल एंड सेव एज अ
मैं आपको
फाइल?
बताता हूँ, एक वापिस समझाते हैं, राइट? ये है सेव एज फाइल। सो अगर सेव एज फाइल करता हूँ तो आपको वो फाइल आपके लैपटॉप में कहीं सेव करनी है, तो जो डाउनलोड में सेव करनी है या कहीं पे भी सेव करनी है, तो फाइल सेव हो जाएगी, राइट? अभी मैं डाउनलोड में
अच्छा।
जाके, वो डाउनलोड में जाके मैं देखूंगा तो ये मेरा जेसन फाइल मेरा सेव हो गया। अब जेसन फाइल को
हम्म।
ओपन हम करते हैं नोटपैड से। लेट्स वी सी, नोटपैड से ओपन हो जाता है, आई थिंक हो जाएगा। तो नोटपैड से हम दिखाते हैं, देखो ये देखा जो रिस्पॉन्स था वो यहाँ पे सेव हो गया। ये जो
हम्म।
रिस्पॉन्स था ना, रिस्पॉन्स बॉडी, वो वहाँ पे सेव हो गया।
हम्म।
अभी मान लो कि आपको भी किसी को डेवलपर को भेजना है ट्रबल शूटिंग के लिए, कुछ एरर आ रही है या रिस्पॉन्स मैच नहीं हो रहा है, आपको ईमेल करना है, राइट? तो आप उसको सेव एज फाइल करके आप उसको ईमेल भी कर सकते हो।
ओके।
डज दैट मेक सेंस?
हाँ, और एग्जाम्पल से क्या होता है?
कौन सा?
एग्जाम्पल, सेव एज एग्जाम्पल।
सेव एज एग्जाम्पल मीन्स यहाँ पे देखो, ये मैंने सेव एज एग्जाम्पल किया तो यहाँ पे एग्जाम्पल सेव हो गया। अभी कोई और
अच्छा।
टेस्टर या अनदर बंदा उसको टेस्ट कर रहा है, उसको देखना है, राइट, कि इसका रिस्पॉन्स एग्जाम्पल कैसा होना चाहिए, सो ही कैन वेरीफाई। यू सी यहाँ पे एज एग्जाम्पल सेव हो गए इसके।
अच्छा। अच्छा।
So this is for the internal reference, right? What could be the example of this response of this particular request? Okay.
राइट।
So response save as example and save as file. File to send in a email, और किसी को पास आउट करना है तो हम फाइल एज सेव करते हैं। ओके, तो ये अपना हो गया गेट कॉल, पोस्ट कॉल, पुट कॉल, राइट? सो अपने तीन तरह के कॉल हो गए। लेट मी इसको भी सेव कर देते हैं, सेव एज एग्जाम्पल, सारे के एग्जाम्पल सेव हो जाते हैं। नाउ द लास्ट वन वुड बी डिलीट। ओके, सो अगर अगेन आई विल गो टू दैट वेबसाइट, यहाँ पे हम देख लेते हैं डिलीट का क्या है। ये रहा डिलीट। तो डिलीट का रिस्पॉन्स है 204, राइट? और ये अपना स्ट्रिंग है। तो हम लोग क्या करें, और डिलीट में तो और कुछ आता नहीं है, सीधा ये डाला और
हाँ।
रिस्पॉन्स आ गया। एक्चुअली ऐसा आना चाहिए था मैसेज डिलीटेड एट और डिलीटेड सक्सेसफुली, ऐसा कुछ मैसेज होना चाहिए था, बट दिस इज द डमी, आई विल जस्ट से द एपीआई, राइट? दैट्स द रीजन। जब हम कोई क्लाइंट के साथ काम करेंगे तो वहां पे ऐसा होगा कि भाई record deleted successfully and response code 204 deleted at, so deleted जब हुआ होगा वहां का टाइम भी बताएगा वो। तो अभी मैं इसको ये ले
अच्छा।
लेता हूँ। ओके, मैं इसको ले लेता हूँ यहाँ पे, काम करते हैं। मैं यहाँ पे जाके इसको मैं फटाफट यहाँ पे लिख देता हूँ डिलीट। ये अपना हो गया ये। इसमें कुछ रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आएगा, इसमें कुछ रिक्वेस्ट और रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आएगा, लेकिन ये होगा 204। दिस इज यूज्ड फॉर डिलीटेड। ओके,
हाँ।
अभी मैं इसको यहाँ पे ले जाके क्या करता हूँ, आई विल गो टू द पोस्टमैन, आई विल क्लिक ऑन दिस वन, एड अ रिक्वेस्ट, डिलीट और डिलीट। ओके, अब मैंने ये कर दिया तो मुझे यहाँ से क्या सिलेक्ट करना पड़ेगा, डिलीट। आई हैव टू सिलेक्ट डिलीट ओवर हियर एंड पुट दिस वन, नथिंग एल्स आई नीड टू पुट, right? No body, no request body. I will just click on send, right? So it just says 204, right? The server processes request is successfully, but 204 आया है, यानी मीन्स ये अपना जो भी रिक्वेस्ट था, जो रिस्पॉन्स था, एज पर द डॉक्यूमेंट, राइट, इट इज डन
हाँ।
सक्सेस, राइट? एज पर द रिक्वेस्ट। सी, डिलीट का रिस्पॉन्स आई थिंक ये नहीं होता है, कुछ और होता है। डिलीट में भी यही आता है 200, बट एज ऑफ नाउ हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हम इसको फॉलो कर रहे हैं कि डिलीट में यहाँ पे क्या है 204, राइट? तो वो आ
जीरो
रहा है,
फोर
204 आ रहा है, मीन्स इट इज वर्किंग एज पर द एपीआई गिवन बाय द डेवलपर। ओके, नाउ व्हाट आई कैन डू, आई कैन गो ओवर हियर, कॉपी दिस स्निपेट। मैं ये स्निपेट कॉपी कर लेता हूँ जो अपना यहाँ पे था, सॉरी, अपना टेस्टिंग वैलिडेशन के लिए जो स्निपेट था उसको हम कॉपी कर लेते हैं। यहाँ पे भी डाल देते हैं डिलीट के लिए, तो यहाँ पे आएगा 204, राइट, 204 आएगा यहाँ पे भी आएगा 204, राइट। और यहाँ पे क्या आएगा, टेक्स्ट क्या आएगा आप बताओगे मुझे।
डिलीटेड सक्सेसफुली।
नहीं है टेक्स्ट, रिस्पॉन्स टेक्स्ट क्या होती है, कोड के बाजू में जो
अच्छा,
टेक्स्ट होती है,
नो कंटेंट।
नो कंटेंट, राइट। तो ये हो गया, तो हम इसको वापस सेंड करेंगे एंड वी कैन सी द वैलिडेशन टेस्ट रिजल्ट ओवर हियर, यू सी टेस्ट रिजल्ट ओवर हियर, ओके। So this is why
ओके।
we can use this one, okay। अपना ये हो गया, अभी हम इसको सेव कर देंगे, अब इसका भी रिस्पॉन्स हमको सेव करना है एज एग्जांपल, हम वी कैन सेव इट, तो सबका रिस्पॉन्स सेव हो जाएगा अपने पास एक एक बार। So this is what we have, and yes, see this is also we can call like any functionality we always do end-to-end testing, right। जब ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट होता है, क्रिएट, एडिट, गेट, डिलीट, और क्रिएट, गेट, एडिट, गेट एंड डिलीट, राइट। व्हाट कुड बी द साइकिल ऑफ एंड टू एंड टेस्टिंग, राइट। फर्स्ट होता है क्रिएट,
क्रिएट,
then I will just say get, then again
गेट।
edit, then get, then delete,
अच्छा।
right। This is the end-to-end cycle mostly. So once we create, we validate, once we create, right, we validate if we created successfully or not, right। So for that we use the get method, again we update, then we validate if the everything is good or not, again we use the get method, then at the last we delete the object, okay। So this is what you can also just say end-to-end testing, basic concept of end-to-end testing, okay, where you complete the cycle, that is called end-to-end testing, okay। So does that make
राइट।
sense, right, how you can create a collections in Postman, right, create a different methods, so you will have one or complete collections, right। So this is your complete collection. Now see, if I need to run this collection, right, I can click right click and just click on run collection, okay। So all the method I can see, and how many times I want to run, I will just say run 3 times, okay। And
ओके।
you just says run Snehal training, so this is my collection name, and you can click on run, right, it will show me the response, you see, get method done, pass, you see, pass. So this is why collection is important. Let's suppose if you are doing one end-to-end testing, right, and you will see you have like 20 method, right, you cannot go one by one and click on run, so you just run the collection, and in collection you can also give the iteration, right। Why we give the iteration, because see, sometimes if you run once it may work, right, but if you run it 2 times, 3 times, or 5 times, right, it may be possible it will get failed, right। To
ओके।
see the consistency, we run the collection multiple times, and you see now your I have keep the three I have keep the all this iteration one, right, I keep the 3 iteration, so everything is done, then again iteration 2, everything is fine, iteration 3,
ओके।
yeah. So 3 times the system has run, the Postman has run our collection, all the APIs 3 times, okay। And I can see the view
अच्छा।
summary. View summary, I can see get all method 6, post method 9, put method 6, and this one. So these are the number of tests, right, we have done. So get all method, we have 2 test case, so that 2 test case run 3 times means total test case is 6. Then in a post call, we have 3 test case, right? So 3 test case run 3 times, so it will become 9. So this is how
ओके।
you can do, and you can also export the result, right? Just click on export the result and save it. Go to the download again, right? And you see this result over here. So this is the Postman
हाँ।
result. You can right click and edit. So you can see the JSON over here, right? Everything in a JSON. So if you want to send an email, you can send this JSON file as an email. Okay. So
अच्छा,
this is
यानी
what.
अगर हमने ये पूरी प्रोसेस एक बार की, फिर भी हम उसको जितनी बार रन करेंगे उतनी बार वो खुद से ही रन करेगा।
हाँ, खुद से ही रन करेगा, एग्जैक्टली, ओके।
ओके।
So this is end to end. I need to keep this one as of now because I want you to practice, right? Because the next session will be the mock session on API, right? So that will be too many questions. I will also give you the assessment for today. So you need to go through each and every question, right? I want you to do some self study, right? few of the fundamental I will ask you to do by yourself, right? So once you will finish those things, the next session, like as we did today, first 30 minutes we will do the mock call, then we will do the further training. Okay,
Okay.
perfect. And if you have any questions when you are doing the practical by yourself, note it down so you can ask in the next session, right? So it will get clear. But I want you to speak in a session as well whenever you have any doubts or any confusion, right? So if I'm not sure about those things, we can together try that things if this is achievable or not. But our main purpose is that you learn in a right way and you gain the knowledge that can be useful for a lifetime. Okay.
राइट.
Okay, perfect.
एक्चुअली मुझे आपको एक बात बतानी थी. एक्चुअली
Yeah.
ये ना मेरे लिए बहुत ज्यादा नया है, एंड आफ्टर सो मच सो लॉन्ग टाइम आई एम डूइंग ऑल दिस थिंग्स. सो मुझे थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा.